Hey, welcome to Mike the Baptist. Got you off guard. That's what I was aiming for. Hey, it's an interesting day here on Mike the Baptist. This is a first. Do y'all like firsts?
Sure. We'll find out.
Yeah.
I like firsts.
Maybe.
Welcome to HD Jones.
Good to see you this afternoon.
Back to the program. He's supposed to be here, so it's good to see you.
Yep.
Glad you showed up. And wife, Susan Jones.
Ta-da!
And it's a first because this is the first time we've had a multi-gendered program. Is that the right way to say that?
That kind of sounds odd, but yeah.
It does sound odd. Mm-hmm. First time we've had...
That you've had a couple.
Yes, thank you so much.
There you
go. You put that as your headline on YouTube, you'll get a lot of...
Yeah, you
This could be dangerous if I put a heading to this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
This may be dangerous, but it'll be fun. But anyway, I'm looking forward to this just to see what happens. Because sometimes, Susan, when it's just these guys here, it's a completely different perspective, as you can probably guess.
Yeah, I listen, I hear.
Yes, so we look forward to your input. And I think your presence here will also tone down
Oh, okay.
some of the
the
Some of
dumbness.
this craziness.
Yeah, I
Probably
think
the green room for sure. It'll for sure calm down the green room.
Well, I don't know. We know who we're dealing with here. www.mikethebaptist.com. Go there and tool around. It's a website. Send us an email, comments at mikethebaptist.com, and I'm after questions from people. So, like when you guys are on here, I would like to have email from people asking you a question.
Sure.
And, believe it or not, about a week ago, one of our faithful listeners caught me in person and asked me one of these questions that I've been asking people to email. And I thought, actually, I told them, well, that's nice, but I want you to email. I'm not taking your question. I specifically have been barking.
because I won't remember it by the time I get home.
That too, but I told them, no, I want you to email it to me. And I don't think they use email a lot. But I told them to have somebody help them figure it out. So anyway, we have one coming up, but I'm not going to use it because they did not email it to me.
There you go.
And she knows who she is.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of odd that you're asking someone to follow directions. I'm just saying.
Isn't that bizarre?
It's really odd.
That's bizarre. Well, it keeps people guessing. Where were we?
Comments.
Email, comments. Go ahead and send us a comment, and we'll do that. And I covered that person that broke the rules, which I oppose.
Yes.
And so anyway, we'll do that down the road. But look, on the front porch visit today, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about etiquette in the home.
Okay.
Because, I don't know why, because it just popped up in the head there, and I thought, it might could be funny, and especially since we have our multi-gendered panel, who are also married. Not all three of us, but you two are married to each other. I think everybody understands. But anyway, so here's what I want to talk about. I'll start to kind of lay the field there. And I just want to talk about each of our perspectives. Now, I want us all to share our own perspective on each of these things we bring up.
Okay.
I think that would cause the arguments I'm looking for and be interesting maybe.
All right.
Toilet paper rolls. Do you load them where they go over the top or under the bottom? My preference is over the top. I'm the only one in my house who has that preference. But mine is over the top, and it's for obvious reasons.
Definitely.
Just you get right to it. And plus you can tap the front of it, and it'll roll a bunch out there.
Yes.
So if you do it the other way, it winds up behind the thing on the floor over there somewhere. Okay, so let's hear you all's perspective on you.
I agree with you. Over the top seems like the right thing to do.
But why? You need to expand a little bit on your thought process.
I don't know that I really have a thought.
It's a podcast. We need sound.
Right. Not sure I have a whole lot of thought. Back to you, Susan.
Well, this is going to be pretty boring because I agree over the top, 100% over the top.
But why?
Because you can see where it starts. You see the seam, so you see where to pull from. Yeah. If it's underneath, you have to spin it to get it to come up.
Which is why when you're in a like a conference building or something like that, and they have those big machines on the wall, and it comes from under the bottom somewhere, but you don't know which way it's coming from.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you don't know then. I like it over the top, 100%. Yep.
There you go.
All the way.
I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, my only other one, not to beleaguer the conversation too long, but my only other one is in the same general vicinity. And I got a little snort. We were talking, Susan talking about may get a snort, and I told her, well, snort here is a badge of honor. I already got a small snort right there. But anyway, the lid. So, the age-old fight amongst...
Now, seat or lid?
Well, I'm getting to that. It's a two-pronged question.
Yes.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
The age-old conversation between men and women is leaving the lid up or leaving it down. Everybody knows that. But I got to thinking about this morning. You can tell I have a lot to do. I was thinking, what about the overall lid? Does it go down or does it stay up? Now, my preference at my place is to leave it up. Actually, that's my preference everywhere. And you know why? Because I don't want to go somewhere else and have to handle that more than necessary.
Absolutely.
So, there you go. Fascinating, right?
Okay.
Okay, Susan.
H. Oh, it's coming to me?
Yeah,
okay.
We're going to reverse it here.
Well, I prefer for the seat to be down.
Of course.
To be left down, of course. Makes life easier for us ladies.
Of course.
And the lid, I know hygienically you're honestly supposed to close it all of the time because they say when you flush, it makes all the germs go everywhere.
Right.
But we just, out of laziness, leave it up.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they can rip that sucker off.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
They don't do any good, really.
Not.
So, funny side story. So, my granddad, Doyle,
Yes.
where I get the D for him in my name, he worked for Nolan Plumbing for a while, and so he thought it'd be really funny. He took a big 8.5 by 11 picture of himself and put it inside of a toilet seat and hung it on the wall in their house. My grandmother was not too happy, but to him it looked like a picture frame.
It explains a lot,
Doyle,
doesn't it?
Right.
That does explain quite a bit about the DNA and genetics. So interesting.
It all goes downhill.
See, that's every time I listen to the Front Porch, I learn something new about my husband. So I'd never heard that story.
Listen, he usually does not let the Front Porch visit down.
No, he does not. I know you count on him.
I do. Have a colorful life.
Yeah.
It's really boring, but quite hilarious.
His
about
family's
6 or 8 months ago, he used to say, when I would say it's time, to tape some programs, he'd say, "Yeah, I can do that. I mean, this time, no, we can't. I need you there."
And one of the funnies, I have to go down to my other granddad, so the Hughley. So back in the day, I mean, they had literally a one whole bathroom. I mean, it was like you went, the sink was right at the door, the commode, the tub was like right there. And so sometime during the middle of the night, Grandpa was in there sitting on a little potty, he was sitting in there. And my grandmother, they didn't sleep in the same room either. That's the old school.
Exactly.
So she gets to the door and doesn't realize he's in there. And she's got this big, long house gown on. Well, she throws that thing back up over and starts backing in.
This story I know.
And my grandfather started screaming. He goes, oh, Lord. He said, I thought my whole life passed before me.
That wasn't your life, Doyle. That was
Hughley.
Hughley.
That was Hughley.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
I have heard that story.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, he liked to tell
I was
that
around when that one happened.
Okay, moving right along. Susan, do you have an etiquette topic you'd like to discuss?
I have a lot of etiquette topics, but I'm going to be pretty picky about what I share.
That may be good.
So one of the things in our house is mainly this applied to my boys, that they can't come to the kitchen table to eat dinner or a meal or whatever without their shirt on. I prefer them
That's fair.
I really prefer not even a tank top. I prefer a shirt because I really don't want, especially as they got older, but we just started it when they were young. You always had to have, I guess they always had pants on, but sometimes they would come in at summertime or at the beach or whatever. And you've been out swimming, they'd come in. It's like, go put a t-shirt on. I don't want to see all that.
That's etiquette. I like that.
You don't want a stray hair and
I don't want all that.
On your biscuit and not want to know where that came from.
I just don't want to look across the table and see that on anybody.
Yeah.
It's just, so I'd be right with you.
Don't want to eat lunch with Bigfoot, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you put a t-shirt on when you're eating.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Any others? That one was pretty. That was across the board.
Pretty tame. Well, like I said, there's just some I'm just not going to go for.
Yeah.
So having two boys in the house, bodily noises.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there. So.
Well, I knew that was coming up.
Always.
He had to do that.
It's just always a badge of honor,
Right.
and a lot of giggles going on.
Right.
And so, you try to teach them right, like don't do that.
I thought you were going to say how to do it.
No,
right.
well, I mean,
because I can see you doing that too. Anyway, moving on.
I'm going to see how honest he's going to be in telling these stories.
Here's how you play the pull my finger game. No, so you're trying to okay, don't do that around your grandparents, and your mom don't want to hear that, blah blah blah. So, but again, it was really bad, and I'll say especially for our youngest, because the older two would laugh at him, and the more they laughed at him,
yes,
then it became a show.
Right.
Well, we go out to Yellowstone, and we're riding around these little minivans, and he's in the back just letting them rip,
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, who's in the van with us, is laughing. He thinks it's funny, and I'm like, stop it. Your grandparents in the car. You're stinking us out. This is ridiculous. I'm going to pull over and whip you. And so it had gotten really, to the point where I was like, seriously, next time I am pulling the car over and I'm wearing you out. Do you understand me? I kid you not, 10 minutes later, hey, Dad. Dad. What, son? Are you serious? About what? Are you serious about whipping me? I can't help some things. I'm like, yes, I'm serious. You can help it. But there's just one right there. It's just right there. Well, my dad starts laughing. Well, oh, my gosh. It's bad.
That's funny. This is Micah, your son Micah.
Yeah, I wasn't going to name him. But
he was 19.
Yeah, way to throw him into there, right? Yeah.
This was last week.
Yeah. Facts.
That's it's kind of funny once in a while until it's in a car that's closed up.
Yeah.
The humor goes away pretty quick.
I saw a bumper sticker the other day, which, by the way, this poor person is confused. One, they had a bumper sticker that says, Satan loves me, so I kind of felt bad for them. Mm-hmm. And then the other bumper sticker said, please help. Dad's done that in the car, and we can't get out. Yeah.
Well, you like that one.
Yeah. That's
probably, there could be some truth to that at times.
Yeah.
I don't know if HD just took his etiquette.
Yeah, that was my etiquette thing.
Okay.
It's appropriate.
No shock.
Right?
Yeah, no shock.
No surprise.
Whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a nice, calm little front porch visit. And actually, Susan, I want to thank you for being here today on this topic. Because I think I got a little, well, actually, you got a little taste of where it would have went. Had you
I know
here.
where it would have gone.
You got strange topics on both sides of your, having them wear a shirt to the table. I actually thought in this etiquette talk about asking you all if you eat at the table every meal or if you eat casually in the living room.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. Well, when the kids were all home and we were raising our family, we ate dinner at the kitchen table every night. Mm-hmm.
Did you require that at your house?
That's just what we did. I don't know if you'd say I guess so. That's what we did. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to look at them and go, we are eating dinner at the table.
They just knew.
We just ate dinner at the table every night. Of course, I was blessed to be home, so I didn't work all day. I wasn't coming in on two wheels and throwing on fast food. I was home. Right. I cooked dinner most nights, especially during the week, and so it wasn't quite as haphazard as a lot of people have to be.
Right.
We ate at the table, but now that it's just, when Micah was gone all the time and it was just he and I, most of the time we eat at the bar. We have a little bar in the middle of the kitchen.
Down at the saloon.
They go downtown and eat the bar.
We have a counter with two bar stools. And so it makes a lot more sense for he and I to just eat at the bar stools than mess up the table, because I have to have the little centerpiece and the table runner and all that. So you have to move all the stuff that he loves.
You got to take stuff off and
put stuff back.
You got to put the placemat down,
right?
All that stuff.
So it's just easier to eat at the bar.
Around over the years, but most of the time we're in a recliner or something.
Yeah,
we're just kind of sitting there eating. And I don't know where that comes from. I grew up doing a little of both.
Yeah, I ate at the table.
Actually, growing up, we always ate at the table unless we had a house full of people. If we had a lot of company, then a lot of us would go somewhere else. And eat. But actually, I grew up civilized, and then that fell away somewhere.
Well, it's kind of like you feel like when the kids aren't there, you just kind of eat where it's comfortable and where it's easy, and it doesn't feel like it. And just the two of you, it's a little easier to sit in the chair and do it, and you're not going to spill your stuff like when the kids were little. You couldn't eat in the den because they were going to make a mess on all your furniture.
I think I do vaguely recall eating at the table when my kids were little.
Every now and then we'd do a picnic, Friday nights, get pizza or something, and we'd throw out, blankets on the floor and sit down and eat while we're watching, some movie together or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most of the time it was probably at the table.
Yeah, we did that. That was we did a game night or movie night and did a picnic on Friday nights when the kids were little. And now we do it with the grandkids if we have them on Friday night. We usually make homemade pizza and we put a quilt on the, or towels on the floor in the den and have little pop-up tables. Those little tables, like they bought them for you to be able to eat in your bed. When they bring you
Little
breakfast in bed and you have a little tray. Yeah. So we have little trays with the little legs for 3 of the grandkids because we usually only have 3 at a time.
Oh, we had full-on TV trays for a while.
Yeah, ours are just the little short ones. And they sit on the floor and put their little tray on and have their food, and we eat that way. And he and I just kind of sit on the floor and eat. Yeah.
You're so much more civilized in your conversation than he and I.
Sorry.
It's just an observation.
I have my moments.
Okay, good front porch talk. It was pretty well behaved.
Civilized.
Yeah, pretty civilized for the crew that is sitting here at the table. I think the possibility, the 3 of us have the possibility for it to have gone in really strange places. But
we did good.
I'm proud
Kept
of us
it on the
all.
road.
Hey, we'll take a break. Come back and talk about some stuff we found in the Bible. We promise to be civilized there.
Do you listen to or watch Mike the Baptist? Do you wear clothes? If so, we've got some great news. T-shirts and hoodies are now available at MikeTheBaptist.com. Just visit MikeTheBaptist.com, click on the merchandise link, and you'll find high-quality tees, hoodies, and even onesies for the babies in a variety of colors, all with the Mike the Baptist logo and familiar sayings from the program. Mike the Baptist is a true labor of love. No one has to pay to listen or watch the program, but Mike and the crew have to eat. So a portion of each sale of a t-shirt or hoodie goes to Mike's local Kroger, Walmart, or electric utility. It's kind of simple like that. In order to keep the program free, we have to generate a bit of income to pay the bills. When you make a purchase, you're not only doing the world a favor by wearing clothes, you're helping keep the messages of Mike the Baptist on the air. Thanks for helping out, and thanks so much for being involved in spreading the good news. What a great planet.
Susan, as you know, for a long time, at the beginning of this section, I talk about the Bible.
Right.
Because it's so fascinating a book, and I'll say it again, it's a fascinating book. Don't you think it's fascinating?
I think it is.
I mean,
awesome.
Is there anything in particular that you find really fascinating about the Bible, the book itself?
Well, I just love the fact that all the books are written by different people, different times, different situations, but they all carry the same message. The consistency that's found, all the prophecies that come true in the New Testament from the Old Testament, you just can't make that stuff up. And the fact that it's transparent, and the fact that he puts the great stories and the really ugly stories that we would hide from people, he puts them in there for us to read, which again shows me that it's not man doing it, because we would totally hide the bad stuff and just put the good stuff. It's just it's crazy to me how it all works together.
I don't think it's a coincidence.
No.
So there's front porch conversations in the Bible.
Pardon?
There's front porch conversations in the Bible.
All right, tell us what's the front porch conversation in the Bible?
Well, I mean, just like you said, the difficult things.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not all PG, and it's not all like our heroes. There's a lot of flaws in our heroes, and so you know, when it's out there, and you got to realize a lot of this stuff is about themselves. As these guys are writing, they're writing about themselves. And I don't know if I was writing a book about me, it would just all be I was great, you know.
Yeah, but they did do that.
Yeah,
they're not like the little golden books. All the stories are not like like that.
So I think that that does give you some. It gives you some hope, because you realize, okay, I'm not perfect either. But that consistency in the Bible, I mean, it's always about God. It's always about His love. It's always about how He is working to make us better and reaching out to us. We can't reach Him. So all that stuff really draws you in, I think.
It's a good book.
Yeah.
But, you know, too, just to add this, I had my Bible study, my ladies' Bible study Thursday morning at the house, and we were talking about studying the Bible. And a lot of them are pretty new to really in-depth studying scripture. And we were talking, I think they were talking about Noah was what brought it up. They're talking about the story of Noah and what you learn if you just came to church, if you just came to worship service and you heard a sermon and you just went to Sunday school. It's pretty much the same standard stories that are taught, just because those are the ones that are easier to preach on. But there's a lot about Noah's life that we don't ever touch on if you don't read it outside of what's preached in Sunday school or from the pulpit. And so you need to read it cover to cover, because there's so much in there that you're just not going to get just by listening to little sermonettes or listening, because
and you need to have the front porch talks.
Yeah, and
off to the side where some of that kind of comes more.
And they were
alive.
talking about how much more it made them appreciate Noah and how he was used and his family, and then you start tying things together, and again, it increases your wonder and awe of really what the Bible is for us. But you got to grab the whole picture, which takes effort.
It does take a little effort.
It takes a lot. Yeah.
I'm going to go into a little of that effort right now. I keep bumping your camera if anybody's watching, and you two across the table are dancing around a little bit. That's me. So we're going to talk about some stuff that we found in the Bible, and I think HD is going to kick us off.
Yeah, one of those awesome stories that we have in the Bible is this picture of Moses as he's drawn to the burning bush, and he goes and has this encounter with God, and God says, I'm going to use you to get my people out of Egypt. They had been in bondage for 400 years, and Moses is so underqualified to be the one that God is going to use, but God says, I'm going to use you. And it really gets Moses kind of sideways, because he's like, wait a minute, I don't speak well. I have a past in Egypt. I killed a guy. They don't like me, and so it really is a picture of how God will get you out of your comfort zones sometimes, and that's kind of...
Wait a minute.
Comfort zone?
Comfort zone. That's
comfort zone.
That's a churchy
lazy
phrase.
boy, when you're in your lazy boy eating pinto beans.
There you go.
That's a comfort zone.
Thank you.
So just the things that, we all, in our journey, in our life, there's things that we tend to gravitate towards, and then there's things that we run away from. And so what God's calling Moses to do is one of those things that he has literally run away from. He ran away from Egypt. He ran away from Pharaoh's court, and he's comfortable. He's on the other side of the world, and he's got his sheep, he's got his wife, he's got a good life, and God says, glad you've enjoyed the last 40 years. I want you to go back to Egypt. And so as an 80-year-old man, here he goes back to Egypt to look Pharaoh face to face, who he probably knew, and say, God said. And so he puts him in this place where he's very uncomfortable. And, I kind of like to think about us. What's some things that God's done to you that you were just really uncomfortable with?
We're throwing it to me?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Looks like it.
Well, let's see. Being a pastor's wife?
Oh, you're not uncomfortable.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I don't hear that talked about a whole lot.
Yeah.
About being put into that position, because you are.
I am. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of for that.
I didn't sign up for that.
Sign up for it. I mean, you had to probably agree to it, but
I signed up. Well, I do believe that God called both of us, because it wasn't really a struggle. I don't remember it really being a struggle for us to. Well, there was some struggle in making the decision, but I don't know. God just put things in the path. Like, it wasn't one of those things where he looked at me and said, hey, I really feel like God's calling me into ministry. What do you think? And I went kicking and screaming into it. We didn't have that kind of story. Some people do. I think it was a slow walk, but still there's a lot of points even now. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 plus years, but there's a lot of points even now that I feel very unqualified to do things when people come to me and ask me certain questions or want certain counseling or want to know about, certain things in the Bible. I mean, doing this, I feel unqualified to come and do. And that's why he was laughing, because I was asking him all these questions, and he's like,
show up.
we're going to go talk about the Bible. And I'm like, okay, but
not much to be prepared for here.
This is your gifting, not mine. So, I mean, but again, I also feel like I know if God's called me to it, and that comes with time and with learning and experience, that if God's asking me to do it and he puts me in the situation and he brings it to me, then I know he'll equip me to do or say whatever he wants said, and I just have to trust him. But there's a lot of things that, are you feel very unworthy. And he and I talk about it all the time, that we look at the church and where the church is right now, and we're just in awe. When we started it, our prayer was, when we first surrendered to do ministry, was we just told God, whatever you want us to do, we're willing to do it, but we want it to always be about you, and we want it to show that it has nothing to do with us. It needs to be very obvious that this is you doing it, not us. And I think we can safely say y'all can look at us and go,
You're welcome.
100%, this is definitely
Well, I don't know how
God,
to
because y'all
phrase
are
it.
Nimrods.
Just go
Phrase it,
ahead.
but-
It's right there on the tip of your tongue. Just
Y'all
go
are
ahead.
Nimrods. But, the other side of it is,
No, Nimrods was not. I was
okay,
not
y'all are
saying
dummies. How
Nimrods.
about that? Y'all are dummies. But,
I'm writing a section in June for our book that we do every week at our
Okay,
church.
yeah.
And I speak at one of those days about we should be proud to have HD as our pastor because he's as common as a stick.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I just wanted to
But I
interject
do.
there.
I also look back at our life, and I'm glad we did take the challenge and go, okay, God, I don't get it. I don't know why you're asking us to do this, but here we go, because I can't imagine our life being anything different. I feel like we've gotten a lot more joy from doing this than we would have done if he'd have stayed as a CPA. So I don't know. God just makes it work out, but there's always going to be stuff you're asked to do. I wasn't completely confident. I was in my comfort zone when I became a mom. I mean, that wasn't easy. That was hard. Being a pastor's wife, coming and speaking on this, teaching a Bible study, leading the women's men. I mean, there's so many things in my life that are really out of my comfort zone. But you need to be stretched. You need to be pushed. You need to grow.
Do y'all think? I'm always watching how church works. Being a writer, I observe. It's just built into to people like me. We observe, and then we use that as material later on for something. But I've observed over the years these phrases like God asked me to do such and such, or God told me to do such and such. It seems to me that can get confusing to some people.
Sure.
Who might be sitting back waiting to do anything until they specifically hear him tell them to do something or something. How do you all know that what you're about to do is something God asked you to do?
Yeah. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, and you've got voices in your head. I mean, you and I laugh about
Yes.
this. You and I have multiple voices
We have
in our head.
many people up there.
But there's our voice, and then there is God's voice who's speaking to us. And I think when it comes to some of these things, yeah, it's God directing, and you'll know that when you resist and you push against it, and yet you keep being drawn back to it. Gosh, there's a lot of times messages that I've preached, I didn't want to preach them, or how I preached it, I didn't want to preach it that way. But you just keep coming back going, okay, I just feel like I'm supposed to do this. Didn't necessarily hear the audible voice, but it's amazing when you're just obedient and you do that thing. Sunday, this lady who was visiting our church, when I finished my message, I went and did a baptism. Well, for me to do that, doing a baptism, then I'm changing clothes. And she goes, I wanted to tell you something, and then you disappeared on me. And she said, I just thought, well, I guess I wasn't supposed to tell him. And then I was standing here talking to somebody, and all of a sudden you walked back out. And she said, okay, that's my sign. I'm supposed to go tell him this. And she walked down, and it was very, very nice what she shared. But again, people in the real world can look at that and go, oh, that's just coinkydink, or that just happenstance or whatever. But when God calls us to do something, it probably will be out of our comfort zone. And, just day-to-day life as a pastor is out of my comfort zone. I would rather not do a lot of the things that I have to do. And there's a lot of things where you just you're kind of on the fence on some stuff. And to be honest, as much as I love the Bible is very black and white, but there's a lot of gray areas. I'll give you a great example. So when I first became a pastor, one of our jobs is we marry people. We marry and bury people, right? And that's the two things that we're known for. So you marry people. Well, what do you do when you have a young couple that comes to you and says, we want to get married, and you're all excited, and you're like, okay, and then you find out, well, wait a minute, y'all are already living together. Well, now all of a sudden you got a moral issue, but you got a young couple that's trying to do the right thing. So what do you do? And I remember going to a pastor's meeting and asking several guys. And I got everything from I wouldn't even talk to them to I would tell them, y'all move out and separate for 6 months, and we'll do counseling for 6 months. And if you can prove yourself worthy, then I will da-da-da. And I don't know, I struggled with that because I'm like, here's the reality. They've moved in together because maybe it's a financial issue. Maybe it's maybe they had nowhere else to go. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just they're in love, or whatever. But now they're trying to do the right thing. And how do I help them do the right thing? And for me, again, I'm not putting down my pastor friends because they got to do what they feel like God's calling them to do. For me, I've always felt like, you know what? I can help you get married. And the moment we get that done, when you walk home, you don't have the problem that you came to me with. And so I had to work my way through that because I have some guys that don't agree with that.
Yeah.
We have divorced deacons in our church. And some of that I inherited when I got to Temple. But I began to ask questions about that because the scripture basically says a man of one wife. Mm-hmm. And I heard people say, well, that means one wife ever and forever. Another guy says, oh, no, it means one wife at a time. And I was like, oh, my gosh, what am I going to do with this? And I began to talk to some people, and a man I truly love, and he's not even in the area anymore. But, he looked at me and he told me, he said, your church will fail because y'all are being disobedient. And I was kind of crushed. I was like, okay, I guess I'm stinking it up as a pastor. But, you just have to walk through those things. And so God's going to put you in some uncomfortable situations. And I think the key to all of it is not that I have to be right, but what I have to do is I have to lean in. I have to lean in and trust God that he'll work those things out, even if I kind of muck it up a little bit.
Which you probably will. No, I'm just saying, that's an across-the-board statement. We all muck it up.
We will.
It's interesting that you talk about the gray areas because people come to pastors, and I'm sure they even come to pastors' wives thinking, you should have the answer here.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not sure you always have the right answer because there is so much gray area. I like hearing you say that you have come to realize that you can't really just tell anybody what's black and white, but you can just kind of maybe help them get to where that doesn't matter anymore.
There are the black and white things. I mean, we believe salvation in Christ and Christ alone. That's very black and white. Mm-hmm. No one goes to the Father except through him. Very black and white. But I'll give you another instance. I've had this happen twice. Two different couples have talked to me about, for whatever reason in their past, they have some legal reason why they can't get remarried. One was a husband put in his will that if his wife ever remarried, that all of his assets would not go to her, they would go to somebody else. Well, that just put her in an awkward situation. There's nothing biblical that if your spouse dies that you can't get remarried, but he put that in there, and she found another man that she loved, and they started living together, and they wanted to be married, but they couldn't because she would lose all this money. So what do you do? It's just some of those things that you kind of have to weigh them out sometimes. And even sometimes as you're thinking through it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is a mess. But that's the world we live in. We live in a messy world, and
we do. Can't
be afraid of it, but yet God will call you into those uncomfortable situations. I was telling one of my small groups, I got a phone call, and a lot of times if funeral homes call me, I kind of shy away from that. I don't like doing funerals for people I don't know. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I see it as, I don't know, it sounds bad, but I see it as a waste of time. It's like, why do you want me now? You didn't care about me before. Why do you want me now? But anyway, this lady called me, and she's like, I called you. She told me, she said, I've called you because I need you. And I was like, oh, crap. And basically there was,
he's your husband.
Right? There was a house fire, and two young children died in the house fire.
I remember this. Yep.
And that was a very uncomfortable situation. It turned out better than I thought it could have, but God got me out of my comfort zone on that one, because I was like, I really wanted to call her back and say, nope, not doing this, but I was glad I did it. Mm-hmm. I felt like I ministered to the family, so.
What's this got to do with Moses?
Moses, exactly the same thing. Go back to Egypt, go back to where you ran from, and it's uncomfortable, but that's what God wanted him to do. And, who got the blessing out of that? Moses got the blessing out of it. If Moses had told God, no, I'm not doing it, God was still going to accomplish his will. And so that's the other thing that you and I have to think through, is that when God calls you to do something, there's that word, God calls you.
Yeah, I almost buzzed you, but I'm trying to.
Go ahead, you can.
Trying to
God
hear that.
calls you.
Right.
You feel, for example, you feel like, I just feel like I need to go invite my neighbor to come to church sometime. If you don't do it, then you won't be blessed at all. If you do it, you'll be blessed. Now your neighbor may say, I'm not coming to church, and that's okay. You did what God asked you to do. So it's hard sometimes, but he's going to put you in uncomfortable situations, guarantee you.
Yep. You agree, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I agree. The only thing, part of your original question when we went off on that was call, to know that God calls you. What does that mean?
Right.
And it is different. I think you see the story of Moses, and God actually spoke to him. He heard an audible voice.
There's some of those in there where...
And we don't get that.
Right.
That would be nice, but that's
I don't
not.
know anybody that's gotten that.
I don't either. I mean, I've heard him in my head, I guess you'd say. But I think HD's right. I question it more if it's something I really want to do and it sounds exciting to me. I question it less if I'm like, ugh, I don't think I want to do that, because then I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's not me. But it is hard. You just have to pray about it and sort it out. And usually what I'll do is, a lot of times I'll test it a little bit and try and get confirmation. I do think God gives you confirmation in a lot of ways with other people and with scripture that comes across your desk and things that, it'll cue you. Oh, okay, that's him.
I don't get a lot of that you're talking about right there, but I do get a lot of things working out that I didn't have anything to do with.
Right.
That I think confirmation from him may come to me that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like this thing about being called has more to do with, in the predestination language, we're called. Those he called. To me, the called means that he called me to try to understand who he is. The main calling, and the more I understand who he is, the more I see where he's doing things or am aware of what he does, who he is. So it winds up that he doesn't necessarily have to speak to me audibly if I'm doing what I think my original calling was, which is just to follow him or do my best I can.
Right.
All that other stuff to me is, I'm always trying to eliminate the magic trick of Christianity.
Sure.
I don't want magic because magic is over with and gone. I want meaning instead of magic. That'd make a great T-shirt.
I wonder if desire is a better word, that God places a desire in you. Because most things we've had, I've had in my spirit, in my heart, I've had a desire to do something, serve in a certain way or whatever.
I've had people say to me, it's like, I just don't know if I can ever fully surrender to God, because I think if I do, He'll call me to want to go to Africa.
Yeah, everybody's scared of that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you want to go to Africa today? I mean, do you have a desire?
Do you have a passport?
It's kind of it's kind of interesting that God will typically call you, use you in something that fits you.
Now we're talking, I think.
God is probably not going to call me into international missions because I don't really like to travel that much.
You're not a flyer, are you?
I can, but
but you're not going to.
Boats,
He does. He loves me.
Yeah,
he does.
Yeah, but it's kind of like not that He won't get you out of your wheelhouse. Again, back to Moses. Go back to Egypt. What did Moses know? He knew how to get there. Go talk to Pharaoh. How did he know how to go talk to Pharaoh? Because I grew up in his court. I know how to talk to Pharaoh.
Yeah.
So the calling really just fit
it made sense.
Who he was, what he already knew.
Yeah. God's probably not going to call me to music ministry.
I don't see it.
Because, we used to do the hymnal, and it was really good.
Right.
But God typically calling on your life has something to do with passions that you have, gifts that you have, things that you already have inklings about. Now, you may have not ever understood fully how God was going to use that. Go back to Moses' account. One of the things we read about this week is this thing called the Passover. Well, they were supposed to slaughter a lamb, put the blood over the doorpost and all that. I don't think Moses had any idea that one day Jesus was going to be called the Lamb of God and that He was going to die on a cross and that his blood would be put on the doorway of our heart.
Mm-hmm.
And
Probably
that's how we
not.
get saved. I don't think Moses had a clue that that's how that was going to go. And yet God called him to do that. And he went through those steps to do that. Put a bronze snake on a pole and hold it up. Jesus would use that and say, like that snake was lifted up in the desert, so am I. When I'm lifted up, I will draw all men to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of times what we don't get is the big picture. And for us that have these feelings, if you feel like God's calling you to lead in a children's program, then you probably should do that, unless you just hate kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you don't know is how God's going to use that 40 years down the road, when somebody may come back to you and go, "You remember when you did that?" And you'd be like, "What? Yeah, that was the moment that I knew God called me to do missions."
If I'm not mistaken, it's okay to make a wrong decision about stuff like that once in a while.
Yeah, sure.
If you think, pre-buzz, if you think you're being called to do something,
right.
and you go try it and it winds up you really stink at this and you're messing it up, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Paul did that once on some mission trip somewhere.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I just don't. It troubles me that maybe sometimes in churches, when there are new people coming along who are not all soaked up in church yet, who might be a little afraid of some of this language about being called. It's concerning to me that maybe we don't do a great job sometimes of kind of explaining that on the front end.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then people spend all this time worried to death about whether or not they've been called or not called, or comfort
Right.
zone or not comfort zone. Seems like we could be a little easier about that with
Yeah.
people maybe.
Day-to-day obedience is the thing.
Right.
I got a buddy of mine, and I love his phrase. He says, "I got a lot of people tell me they feel called to preach," and he says, I look at them and say, "Is anybody called to listen?"
That's a good point.
A lot of us think, well, if I just preach, then God will be proud of me. And guess what? If God calls you to put the toilet paper on correctly,
Mm-hmm.
Which we would say is with the
it's
top,
important.
Exactly.
That's important.
top over.
Over the top.
And if you do that for His glory, then He'll be happy with you, as happy as He would with the preacher standing there talking to 100 people.
Right.
So this whole idea of working for God, doing what God's called us to do, really is just about a daily obedience thing. Let's be honest. There's only one Moses in the Bible. There's only one guy that brought 2 million people out of a country and never lifted a sword. There's only one of those guys.
Yeah.
So
There's a reason people don't just casually name kids Moses everywhere, 'cause that's a
No.
big name.
There's
That's a big name.
Does
so as
anybody
we
name
as
their
we
child
read as we
Moses?
read
It's
about
happened,
these
but
as we read about these, Moses Malone played
Oh, that's right. Okay.
yeah,
basketball for the
a few blues
Utah
musicians.
It is
Jazz.
once in a while.
unusual.
But our job is just to be obedient, and whether we're a hero that somebody's going to write a book about or whether we're not, that's not important. It's the important thing is I did what God asked me to do.
Yeah.
So I think cut yourself some slack and just be obedient today in what God
I like that. Cut
shows
yourself
you.
some
Cut
slack.
some slack.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Susan, let's say somebody happened upon our little program here and they heard you talking,
Okay.
and that voice interested them in the midst of all these
I am
other voices.
sure it
More than
does.
the other voices.
That North Carolina, Tennessee accent.
Yes. How would you
Radio.
explain to somebody who's not saved to get saved? How would you explain to somebody how to do that?
Well, I think the biggest thing about it is you're just surrendering your will to His will.
What does that mean, though?
You quit doing things your way, and I think you'd have to get in the Word to learn what His way even is. If you're totally illiterate about the Bible and about Christianity, you'd have to study and try and figure out what His ways are, and you just surrender the way you want to do life to the way His Word tells you to do life.
So possibly, if that person was in a situation where obviously their life was not working good,
Right.
and they were kind of wondering if this was the answer, that's kind of what you'd tell them. Would you tell them to hang around some of those people?
Oh.
They're not really scary.
No. And that's the easiest way to learn about Scripture. I think one of the phrases that HD has said before, I think this maybe came from another story that you read, but anyway, where a guy just surrendered and he just said, I give everything I know about me to everything I know about you, which is, the beginning was very little, but what he knew about God grew as he went along. And you just say, I give up. This isn't working my way. I want to do it your way. And again, hang around some church people, find you a good Bible teaching church, which is apparently harder to come by than you'd think.
Maybe.
And start reading the Word and trying to figure out what this stuff's all about. It's
Tell them to do it today.
Yeah, do it now.
Yeah, and so much of it is experience, and it is. Susan said earlier she was nervous about being a mom. She's not nervous about that anymore because she's been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what she would be nervous about.
What's that?
Doing it again right now.
Oh, yeah.
She wouldn't be nervous. She would be like, "Oh my!"
It's quite the project.
But it's one of those things. Being a Christian, I know why people are nervous about it. It goes against our very nature.
Yeah.
Because we want to be in control,
Right.
and it feels like you're so out of control. But it's the best. It's the best you will ever feel because it's what you were created for. I remember when we got a little dog in the house, and so we got the dummies book for how to house break a dog and everything, and there's something about us because we like big space. We want a big house with a big da da da, and so one of the chapters was measure your dog, and this is the size kennel you get for your dog, and don't get one that's too big. And I remember going, well, I want my dog to have a big space, a big house, right? And they said, no, a dog feels most at home when they can touch all four corners because they know they're safe. And so God knows what we need to feel safe.
Yeah.
And it's not to drop us out there in this world of endless possibilities where we can make all our own choices, because if we could do that, we would screw it up so bad it's not even funny. God put some parameters around us to point us back to himself, because that's where we will be most comfortable. You'll be most comfortable giving your life to him.
Did I hear you say where you could touch the walls, but they're not closed in on you?
Yep.
Like
They can turn around.
Like they're doing that. My cousin's grandson, that his mama is swaddling that baby and tying him up like a burrito every night. And I got onto her just recently about that. So if you're listening, stop swaddling.
But that's the new thing.
That baby.
That's what
the
they
new
feel
thing.
That's a new
safe
thing,
in.
but it
What do you think
terrorizes
about them
me.
in the
That's how
womb?
they feel safe.
But that's how they felt in the womb.
But they're not in the womb anymore, so don't do that. Don't
They'll
roll
spread
them up
out
like
soon
that.
enough. No, they'll spread out soon enough. Cuddle those
They'll
babies.
be coming to the table with no shirt on soon enough.
That's
That's
exactly right.
right.
And that's why, because they'll
And
feel
leaving
so
the-
free all of a sudden.
and leaving the lid up.
Did we get where we were trying to go?
I think
Think
so.
so.
Yep.
I think we got plenty far. So
Yeah.
we'll take a break, come back and play Inny or Outty.
Okay.
Be right back.
Hey everybody, it's time to play America's almost favoriteest new game show, Inny or Outty, where we challenge our guests to figure out if a phrase we give them is actually in the Bible or out of the Bible. Sharpen your wits, guest. You're about to be in the hot seat of Bible stuff, because you're the next contestant on Inny or Outty. Here's Mike.
Hey, welcome back. Inny or Outty is so educational. Fun-educational,
It
as
is
HD
Fun-educational.
tagged it. And I'm not kidding about that, because I noticed in my world now, just in conversation with people, if they say something that doesn't sound a little bit right, in my head, I'm going like, that's Inny or Outty. That's not in there.
Right.
It just comes up pretty regular, but I'm glad it does. It makes me think. We're going to think today. We're not going to think real hard, because I have a pet peeve in church language, and that's going to be my Inny or Outty today.
Okay.
It's going to take you. You're going to get to a solution pretty quick on your answer, but I still want to talk it out, because it'll just be
That's always
entertaining.
comical when they talk it out. Yeah.
It usually is. So I'll start.
Are you going to explain how this game works?
No,
Okay.
Yeah, he quit explaining it. It's
A long time ago.
self-explanatory.
You
Is
don't
it
have
in
to
the Bible?
explain
Is
it.
it out of the Bible?
is it?
Yeah.
Is it what?
In the Bible, out of the Bible.
And so that would be called
Inny Outty.
Inny or Outty. That needs no explanation.
There you go. Right.
So I'm not going to do it, and I do not want y'all to do it either.
Okay. I will not.
Here you go. Is the phrase "comfort zone" in the Bible? Talk amongst
Phrase
yourself.
comfort zone in the
Talk
Bible.
amongst yourself.
The phrase comfort zone.
Yes,
in the Bible.
in the Bible. So talk about it. amongst
Does it matter
yourself.
about translation? It could
No.
be in the message.
Well, that's true.
There's lots of stuff
Many
in the
things.
message.
Speed zone is in the message.
There's lots of
What's
stuff
that
in the
one
message.
that dude reads in our class?
Oh,
The easy read.
The easy read version or something like that?
is
Yeah.
that what it's called?
It's like Fonz does, Hebrew.
I think it is called the easy read, maybe.
Is it?
I think it may be.
I wonder, I never look at it when he's reading it, but I wonder if it has pictures.
Instead of, instead of hallelujah, I'm just waiting for a hey.
It probably has comfort zone.
Okay, yes, comfort zone.
Comfort zone.
Is the phrase comfort zone, because you hear this a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
We used it today.
Talked about it today. Get out of your comfort zone.
I don't know.
Is that in the scripture? Did Paul or somebody say that?
Comfort zone?
When they were talking to young Timothy.
I don't recall the word zone ever even. Comfort maybe could be in there. I don't recall zone.
He talks about, preach when it's convenient or not.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably trying to tell him, get out of your comfort zone,
Yeah, conceptually, I could say for sure
Conceptually,
it's in
I think it's in
there.
there.
But the words.
Phrase, comfort zone.
It's used a lot,
It is.
I'm going to say no.
It's thrown out there a lot.
Susan seems pretty
I am. I'm very
definitive
confident.
early.
Yep, no.
I really expected you to be more earlier than this, but I think you're being kind to me. So
He is. I'm done. No.
Yeah,
He is. I'm done.
I'm gonna have to go.
Over.
I'm gonna have to go with my wife. She's a brilliant lady.
Oh, yes.
Since
You
she
say
married
that
me.
so often
Since she
here.
married me.
And Susan, he says this regularly.
I'm sure that's exactly
Yep.
Even in the
what
green
he
room,
says.
he talks about that.
Yes.
I'm sure he does.
I will go along with her. I think the phrase comfort zone is probably not in the Bible.
Where would you think it came from? I mean, I'm trying to just extend this just a couple minutes because it's such a silly one. But
Where do I think it came from?
yes, I know where it came from, but I'm going to give you a chance because you're the panel.
Where it came from.
Comfort
Oh.
zone.
Oh.
Yep.
Well,
yes.
I've got a funny answer, but
Was it Top Gun? No, that was Flying to the Danger Zone.
That's danger zone. Our old friend Coots.
Yeah. What did he think it said?
Come into the.
I don't remember, but it was funny.
Was it danger zone?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I can't
It was
remember
funny,
now.
Though. Mm-mm.
What did he say?
Dead zone? Was
I
it
don't
dead
know.
zone? I don't remember. It was funny what he said.
Okay.
All right, so tell us where comfort zone
Yeah, well,
came
I don't
from,
have a
Michael.
clue.
I'm really
Okay.
intrigued.
Here we go. The phrase comfort zone is not in the scripture.
What?
I think it was invented by church people to
Okay.
guilt you into doing things
Yes.
Oh.
that you're not built to do. So I'm so glad earlier, Susan, you brought up the fact that, or maybe it's HD, maybe it's both of you as a team brought up the fact that it seems like God gets you involved in things that you kind of know about a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think your comfort zone is actually, I just don't really want to do that. More so than that's not something I do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's getting too serious for Inny or Outty. I just so you did win.
We
So
did
that's a
win.
win.
All right.
Yay!
So see, my silly question also gave an early win on Inny or Outty, which is encouraging.
Well,
We're on the same brainwave. We've
I'm
been
going
together
to,
a while.
Yes, that's spooky too.
I'm going to reach back to the front porch
Okay,
because you talked about etiquette in your home
we did.
and how you trained people. Well, it seems like we talked a lot about bathroom etiquette.
We did. Well, it's you and I. So
Lids up, lids down, seat
Right.
up, down, toilet paper over the top, underneath.
Mhm.
Did God
wait a minute. Where is this going?
did God talk to the Israelites about their bathroom etiquette? Did God tell them this is how you use the bathroom? And this is you put the seat up or you put the seat down?
Excuse me, just a second. Susan, am I awake?
Yes, you're awake.
Okay.
They pinch you, you're not dreaming.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Say
Well,
that
they didn't
again?
have toilet paper, so it wasn't about the toilet paper.
Did you say they did or didn't?
I don't think they had toilet paper, actually,
It's
like we
not
have.
mentioned.
They had something, but I don't think they actually had
I can
toilet
tell you what
paper.
they had if y'all want to know.
No.
A leaf,
No.
a piece of
In
cloth.
Jesus' day, literally in the bath, they had bath houses,
Yeah.
and there was a stream of water in like sort of a ditch inside. So the men had an area, women had an area.
Mm-hmm.
There was a sponge, and you would take the sponge and dip it in the water.
No, I don't want to know this.
And then
Nope.
and
nope.
you shared the sponge?
I do not know. I do
Ew.
not want to know this.
No.
Yep.
Yee.
I do not want. I
Ew.
can't even edit this out because it's in my head. Now,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
But back to my question:
yes, what is
did God give Israel
Bathroom etiquette.
etiquette?
Did he give Israel like
His
as
people.
a
His
His
people.
people.
his people?
Do we need
Okay.
to string this out, or we just want to cut to the chase?
I don't know what to do. to be honest with you. But
Well, they didn't have toilet seats, so it wasn't about the toilet seats.
no, up or down.
But yeah, but okay, he gave him a lot of laws
Yeah.
about a lot of really unusual things.
True, and this would be one of them.
This would be
if
one of them.
This is
This
unusual
could be one
already.
of them. Right.
My gut reaction is yes, but I don't know what.
My gut is yes. Yeah, because he gave him all these.
But do you have a specific example of?
Well, I mean, he told them, what they could eat and what not to eat, and about all the sores and how to do things to help heal
So that was all
sores
hygiene,
and all
though.
that's hygiene issues. I can't imagine that he did. There's a lot of things about potty. I mean, if you think about all the things in Scripture, you got the story about Saul in the cave, and he was relieving himself when
Mm-hmm.
David came in and could have.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stories, honestly, about
But you
pottying.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just in your mind
Why
somewhere.
do themes develop on Mike the Baptist?
Right.
And
In your mind somewhere, you're contemplating right now. Holy, holy, holy was talking about bathroom pottying.
yes,
Yeah.
I've been contemplating
Yeah.
that in my mind.
But maybe he was telling them to keep the pottying far away from the holy places. That could have been bathroom etiquette.
would've
I'm
been
just
good of him.
saying that would have been good instruction. Because think
Yes.
of how stupid people are now in our world. They were stupid back then too.
That's a good point, Susan.
I mean, you have to tell like kids stuff that they do.
Yes.
I mean, we
Like
should
what
do that
even
downtown
causes you to
Nashville.
think that's okay?
Oh, listen.
Don't whiz on the sidewalk.
Right?
Hey, listen. I
Right.
don't.
Yeah.
Why is the worst bathrooms in the world in grocery stores?
Oh, no, I don't know. I haven't had
do you
a
ever
Like
go
problem.
close
in
at
one?
Home Depot.
Oh, look,
that's 'cause a
Home
friend told you
Depot-
that.
Home Depot is like Mr. Clean's bathroom compared to grocery store restroom. Go to a grocery store restroom someday and come
Well,
out there
I
going
have.
like,
I haven't.
what?
I have not had any trouble.
Maybe on
it's
your
maybe
side.
it's the store that you're going in. Now, the men's could definitely be a lot
Yeah,
worse.
men are just pigs.
Yeah, and the women probably really just don't want to go in there and clean it. So, yeah.
Well, see, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
Back to our question.
I think that they had stupid people like we have stupid people, and so you probably had to tell them what to do about going to the bathroom.
you know what, Susan? I'm going to agree with you because I don't recall specifically studying this at my church or any other church or any
Yeah.
other place on the planet ever in my life.
Yeah.
But, like you said, a lot of instructions were given, and it could be that we just glazed over this one because it wasn't that,
And again, he said etiquette. So to me, that's a clue of the word.
That's
not
what we talked
necessarily,
about.
but that's not
Yes.
necessarily saying the procedure. It's just saying etiquette was appropriate.
be nice about it.
So I think that a lot of instructions could fall under proper etiquette for pottying.
So God might have told his people it ain't good to do this here or something like
That's
that.
what I'm thinking, that there's proper places for certain actions. I mean, he talks about a lot of other things that way. I'm
with
going
you.
to say it's in.
I'm with you. It's an
saying it's
Inny.
in.
We're saying it's an Inny.
I'm
H.
saying it's an Inny.
Yeah.
Let me go back to my notes now that
Okay.
I'm so confused about what we were talking about.
Well, I hope we win.
Oh my goodness.
Potty etiquette.
I need to look this
Yep,
up.
second snort right there.
I need to look this up so I can even read this. Let me
Okay.
think.
So
My glasses.
it's looking like a win because he's looking it up.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm encouraged
Or
here.
he's confused himself.
Yeah, what does that note mean?
I'm a little scared for him to read something right now, but
Yeah, I do. I need.
There's my girl
look
glasses.
Look at this.
oh, they're sharing his
That's
glasses.
awesome.
Susan, is that a horned rim glass?
Yes,
that
that is a
has
horned,
the
yes.
corner up there. I was talking to somebody recently about a librarian look or something.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's the horn rimmed glass.
Not
Yep.
to say you look like a librarian.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All
Open
right.
mouth. It's
So-
hurts you.
Deuteronomy, chapter 23,
Okay.
verse 12.
Yeah.
Now, this goes a little bit. By the way, y'all did win.
Oh, woohoo, I'm 100%.
Do I look special in these glasses?
Yes, you do.
Sort of, yeah.
So, but this is a little more than just etiquette.
Sweet is what I was thinking.
23, verse 12. If I had a long wig, would I look like the church lady? You're so
would.
special.
Will
You
you
would.
stop?
You're so special.
You would.
You shall have a place outside the camp,
See?
and you shall go to it. And you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig a hole with it and turn back and cover up your excrement.
Yeah.
This
See?
is in the scriptures.
Because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give up your enemies before you. Therefore, your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. Listen,
Yes.
This is amazing.
listen.
Yes.
I
See?
was in Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
and that was part of the procedure. You dug a hole, and then when you went,
Yes.
you put the dirt back over top
Yeah, that makes sense.
so that it wouldn't stank up the whole
Yes.
area.
Yes.
And I was like, I read that in Deuteronomy, and I'm like, how am I ever going to bring this to Mike the Baptist? And then we started off
There we go,
on the
with
front
potty
porch, and I'm
habits.
like, I know
That's crazy.
what I'm going to use today.
Hey,
But now
listen,
here's the bad thing. He had to give that instruction because other people were obviously
not doing that.
So
they were just going wherever they were
So
and
we
doing
need
their
to
thing in
multi-layered
public.
thought
So
going
right.
on
we need to
here.
tell our kids, spray.
Cover it
That's
up.
what he was telling them, spray.
Spray.
Yeah.
Because when I come
Spray
through, I
and
don't want to
Flush.
smell it.
Flush
put the seat
spray.
down.
I do not. That's awful. Okay. So I work in the church, right?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Monday mornings.
Uh-oh.
Monday mornings.
Do I need to be recording this?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a mystery in my head.
Uh-huh.
Oh my.
Monday mornings. Okay.
Right.
So
I think I know what's coming
in
because
the men's room,
yes.
all right, men usually only go to the commode for one reason. All right.
Okay.
So
This is a bizarre episode.
when I
You
go in
started
there,
it.
when I
I
go
know.
in there to get some toilet paper
Right.
to blow my nose,
Right.
and somebody has left a present in there,
Yes.
but there's no paper in there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this means lots of things all
Yes.
of a sudden because don't you greet everybody as they're leaving? I mean, that's what I thought. That's what I
That hadn't even
thought.
crossed his
Whoever
mind.
that was told you goodbye.
Yeah, but they
Quite likely hugged you.
didn't clean up after themselves.
Yep.
How does that work? Anyway,
Let's just
we
leave
need to
that
stop this
there.
episode right here, right now.
Are you sure I'm
Yeah.
awake?
All right?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah. I wish I weren't.
This is
coffee.
exciting. Look, the good news is 2 wins.
Right, there you
Yeah, let's
go.
go with
Yeah.
That doesn't happen a lot here, but 2 wins and lots of education.
Yeah, there you go. Out of our comfort zone.
I don't know what to do exactly, but we're going to take a break, come back and tell you goodbye.
Okay.
How about that? That seems safe.
Like he's not doing.
Oh, wow. What a great contestant and a fine sport today on Inny or Outty, America's almost favorite new game show. Study up, future guest people. You're next in the hot seat for Inny or Outty.
Hey, listen, we're really glad you joined us if you're still there somewhere, if you're listening or watching. And I know you are, so I'm glad you are. But anyway, I want to thank Susan Jones
Thank you for having me.
and H.D. Jones,
It's been education.
husband and wife, yes, for
Fun education.
It's been
teaming up
fun
and
education.
coming for our first multi-sexed. No. I will edit that out.
I don't even like multi-gender. That sounds like we're not sure what we are. There's not multiple genders.
Gender fluid episode.
How about the couples? I don't know. The couples edition or something. I don't know.
That one
the
I have to
married
edit.
edition.
Most of the time I
don't
say,
know.
that's okay. No, I'm getting
No.
that.
Yeah, multi-gender sounds really
It doesn't sound right.
not
does it? It's like more than 2. That means one of us is.
right.
Not sure.
Hey, it was a funny break. You should have been there, but you weren't, and you're lost. Hey, anyway, thanks for being with us, Susan Jones
Thank you. Thanks
and
for having
H.D.
me.
Jones,
Good to be here.
for our first couples.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Whatever you want to call it. There was 3 of us here. 2 of us was dudes. 1 of us was a chick. So I don't know how to explain it besides that. But anyway, it was fun. And
Yeah.
in fact, we're going to do another one next week, the 3 of us.
Yep.
We'll have fun once again.
There you go.
Hope you come back. Thanks for being with us. Remember, folks, we're just all Christians.
Trying not to cuss.
That's all right.
And they didn't. Congratulations. Okay.
Oh, wow.
That was wild.
Mike the Baptist.